Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Meenal Dhal from Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. Today we will study the module Body Composition from the paper Human Growth, Development and Nutrition. So students, let's see what we are going to learn in this module. First, we'll study about the concept of body composition. Then we'll study about the levels of human body composition, and lastly we'll study about the underlying models of body composition. So body composition refers to the chemical makeup of body and is split into two compartments. The first one is fat mass, which include adipose tissues, and second is lean body mass or fat free mass, which include bone, muscle, organs and connective tissues. It is the relative percentage of fat, muscle, bone and other tissues in the body. This area of study attempts to partition and quantify the body weight and mass into the basic components. Now, if two people of equal height and body weight may look completely different from each other because they have a different body composition. Scientists have been studying body composition since the beginning of 20th century. But research has increased dramatically in the last 25 years as methods of measuring and analyzing the body have grown up in accuracy. There is growing evidence that clearly links body composition with health risk and the development of certain diseases. New researches indicates that fat loss, not weight loss, can extend human longevity. Adding further to the acceptance of this practice is the importance of body composition in athletic performances. By measuring body composition, a person's health status can be more accurately assessed and effects of both dietary and physical activity programs better directed. During fetal development, the inherited genetic information exerts its maximum penetrance on body composition. After birth, nutrition and lifestyle factors will strongly interact with the genome to influence the changes in body composition at different levels of growth. But why we have to study body composition, or why it is very much important, or knowledge of body composition is important? There are four parameters through which we can study body composition. First is it will help us to study health and disease. Second is performance. Third is appearance. And fourth is longevity. Let's start with essential fat and non-essential fat. Body fat percentage can be calculated as the total mass of fat divided by the total body mass, where body fat can be divided into essential body fat and storage body fat. Essential body fat is necessary for the normal functioning of the body. These include lipids incorporated into brain, nerves, heart, lungs, liver, and mammary gland. Percentage of essential fat is different for males and females. Males have 3% of essential body fat, whereas females can have up to 12% as essential fat. Non-essential or storage fat is the amount of extra fat or the fat which reserves stored in the body. The fat cells exist primarily just beneath the skin, that is subcutaneous fat, and around the major organs called as visceral fat. The amount of storage fat depends on many factors like gender, age, heredity, diet, physical activity, etc., from person to person. Now let's start with the level of body composition. The study of body composition has been historically driven by the availability of methods to measure, or more correctly, estimate it. In other words, the research was to some extent directed by what could be measured rather than what the researchers wanted to measure. Over the past 10 to 15 years, however, significant progress has been made in the development and refinement of techniques to estimate the body composition, so that virtually all components of the body can now be measured. This progress has thus been resulted in the modification of the models that provide the framework for studying body composition. There are different levels and models to describe body composition. Levels ranging from elements to tissues and organs are the building blocks that give mass, shape, and function to all living things. Body composition analysis techniques allow scientists to study how these building blocks function and change with age and metabolic stage. Now, scientists from different disciplines as well as healthcare workers rely on body composition measurements to research for diagnostic purposes. The central model in body composition research is the five-level model, in which the body mass is considered as the sum of all components at each of the five levels. And these five levels are atomic level, molecular level, cellular level, tissue organ level, and whole body. Certain rules are inherited in the five-level model, and ultimately all body composition models follow these rules. We will study these levels one by one. Let's start with the atomic level. Elements or atoms are the fundamental building blocks of all biological organisms. About 50 of the 106 elements found in nature are also found in human body, and many of these are required by humans for growth and health maintenance. Now there are four elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen and nitrogen account for over 95% of body mass, and with an additional 7 elements that are sodium, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, chlorine, magnesium and sulfur comprise over 99.5% of body mass. Elements maintain stable or relatively stable associations with other elements and with component at higher level. At this level, body mass include 11 major elements, and more than 96% of body mass is accounted by the 4 elements and rest by the 7 elements. Now in molecular level, body composition components are integral to research in much nutrition areas. These include energy, protein and lipid metabolism, bone mineral homeostasis and water balance. Many different chemical compounds found in the human body can be classified into 5 main groups. These are lipids, water, protein, carbohydrates which include glycogen, and minerals. Lipid include all biological matter extracted with lipid solvent. This means triglyceride, phospholipids and structural lipids. In contrast, fat refers to the specific family of lipids consisting of triglycerides. approximately 90% of the total body lipid in healthy adults is triglyceride. Now, third level is cellular level. Human body can be divided into different components at molecular level. It is the assemblage of these components into cell that creates the living organism. The cellular level of body composition include the three main components, that is cells, extracellular fluid and extracellular solid. The cell can be additionally partitioned into two compartments, body cell mass and fat, of which the former is the metabolically active component. Each of these compartments is now described in additional detail. Firstly, we'll start with cells. Cells are the basic functional unit of life and possess the characteristics like metabolism, growth and reproduction. The cells in human body share many common properties, but these are great variation in size, shape, molecular and elemental composition, distribution and metabolism. The interior portion of the cell consists of cytoplasm and a nucleus which contain the genetic material in the form of DNA. Four different categories of cell can be defined on the basis of these differences. These four categories are connective cells, muscular cells, nervous cells and epithelial cells. Further, connective tissues are grouped into three and these are specialized, dense and loose. Fat cells or adipocytes are loose while bone cells are specialized connective cells. Skeletal, smooth and cardiac cells are in the group of muscle cells. Striated muscle cells account for the large fraction of body and are the foundation of human movement. The cells of the human body consist of fluid and solid components and intracellular fluid and solid as well. Now, second is extracellular fluid. It is the fluid outside the cell. These are no metabolizing fluids surrounding cells, provides a medium for gas exchange, nutrient transfer and excretory metabolic products. The extracellular fluid is divided into several small components such as plasma, transcellular fluid, intestinal fluid and fluid of bone and dense connective tissue. Plasma is the yellow fluid component of blood in which cells are suspended. About 55% of the whole blood is plasma and about 90% of plasma is water. The rest consists of dissolved protein, ions, hormones and other small molecules. About 12% of the body weight is accounted for intestinal fluid, while transcellular fluid refers to all body fluid that is formed from the transport activities of cell. Transcellular fluid is constrained within epithelial lined space and mainly it includes cerebrospinal fluid, bladder urine, joint fluid and ocular, the fluid of bone and dense connective tissue. In addition with transcellular fluid is a component of extracellular fluid. Now third one is extracellular solids. Like extracellular fluid, extracellular solids are also a no metabolizing part of the human body. It consists mainly of organic and inorganic chemical compounds. Organic extracellular solids mainly include three types of fibers. These are collagen, reticular and elastic. Both reticular fibers and collagen are made up of collagen protein and elastic fibers are made up of protein elastin. The inorganic extracellular solids mainly contain phosphorus, calcium, and oxygen in bone. Other inorganic components in extracellular solids are magnesium, sodium, citrate, and bicarbonate. Fourth is tissue organ level. The human body at cellular level is composed of cells, extracellular fluid, and extracellular solids. These three components are further lead to the formation of tissues, organ, and systems, which is the fourth level of body composition. Tissues are composed of specialized cells of the same type that are similar in appearance, embryonic origin, and function. All the varied tissues of the human body can be categorized into four. These are connective, muscular, epithelial, and nervous tissues. Some components of the tissue level are single solid organs like heart, brain, liver, and kidney. Thus, the tissue level is also called as tissue organ level. Body weight at tissue level consists of connective tissue, muscular tissue, epithelial tissue, and nervous tissue. Bone is a specialized connective tissue which consists of bone cells bounded by a matrix of fibers and ground substances. Ground substance in bones is calcified and accounts for approximate 65% of the dry bone weight. Another important connective tissue is adipose tissue, which are made up of adipocytes with collagen, fibroblasts, elastic fibers, and capillaries. It is located primarily under skin, where it serves as a layer of insulation. It is highly specialized for the storage of fat. It also forms a protective layer around the organs, like in case of kidney. Adipose tissues are linked with health conditions like insulin sensitivity, metabolic syndrome, and type 2 diabetes. Adipose tissues can be further divided into four types according to their distribution, and these four types are subcutaneous, visceral, yellow marrow, and intestinal tissues. Now let's talk about organs and systems. The organ level forms by the combination of two or more tissues. Functional units like skin, blood vessels, and kidney are formed by the combination of tissues. More than one organ whose functions are interrelated constitutes a system. Digestive system is an example in which many organs play a role, including mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestine, liver, and pancreas. Each of the organs has different tissues, like stomach contain different kinds of tissues like muscular tissue, epithelial tissue, connective tissue, or nervous tissue. In human body, there are 9 main systems which make the body weight at the system level, and it can be defined by the combination of these 9 systems. Now, what are these 9 systems? First is skin system, or called as integument system, then nervous system, circulatory system, musculoskeletal system, digestive system, endocrine system, urinary system, respiratory system, and reproductive system. So combination of these 9 systems will make the whole body weight. Now let's start with the whole body level. As clear from the name, itself, this level consists of regions like appendages, trunk, and head, which can be described by anthropometric measures such as length, circumferences, and skin folds. These different segments have different forms and compositions that make up the physique of an individual. The whole body level focuses on physique, form, and composition. Body composition refers to relative component of body weight at a given level. Body form is mainly concerned with the size and shape of the human body. Size refers to the dimensions, volume, and masses of the body, and body shape is described as the relative skeletal dimensions of the body that is generally expressed as the ratio of two linear dimensions. For example, relative sitting height or chronic index is the index of body shape. Anthropometry is the basic tool at whole body level for estimating the size and shape of the body. Anthropometric measurements focus on overall size as well as on specific parts of the body like waist, length of the arms and legs, hips, etc. Body mass index and skin fold thicknesses are considered as the most common anthropometric measurements of body composition. These measurements, in association with prediction equations, can be used to calculate body fat. Major changes in other four levels of body composition will manifest on the whole body level as well. There are differences at the whole body level which are related to change in the other four levels of body composition. Till now you know about the levels of body composition. Now we'll start with the models of body composition. Firstly, we'll start with two-compartmental model. In basic two-compartmental model, the body is divided into two parts. One part consists of body fat and the other part consists of all the remaining tissues as the fat-free mass. It is difficult to measure body fat mass directly and remains a significant challenge for most body composition techniques. Though, if total fat-free mass of the body is determined, then one can easily calculate the body fat indirectly, as body fat is the difference between body weight and fat-free mass. The two compartment models are body densitometry, potassium 40 measurement, and total body water measurement. Body densitometry measures body density by underwater weighing and then estimate body composition assuming of a constant density of fat-free mass and fat mass. Measurement of the natural isotope of potassium 40 by means of gamma counters allows to estimate total body potassium because of their constant ratio inside the human body. Fat-free mass is then estimated from the potassium content of fat-free mass. Lastly, measurement of total body water by 2 or 3 water dilution allows to estimate fat-free mass if the hydration of the latter is known. Now let's talk about three-compartment model. For more accuracy, the two-compartment model was expanded to the three-compartment level with special reference to underwater weighing, where total body water is one of the major in this technique. This model assumes the density of water, body solids and fat. But in case of certain disease, a patient or a subject may be protein depleted, or they may have less bone mineral mass, which make this assumption erroneous. So the total body fat mass estimation would be inaccurate, as the calculated density of the solids was incorrect. Another model is four compartment model. This model is one level extension of three compartment model. In this model, fat-free mass is divided into three compartments, consist of protein, water and mineral. With the help of these three compartments, the fourth compartment, that is fat-free mass, was calculated. Again, in underwater weighing, the density of protein and mineral was assumed to be 1.34 and 3.075 kg per liter respectively. There is a limitation with the three compartment model for fat-free mass. The errors in measurement are cumulative and can be transferred directly in mass unit of the final estimation of body fat mass. In multi-compartmental model, with each additional measurement in the model, it may be possible to extend the number of compartments in the body composition model. For instance, a multi-component model includes the six-compartment model at the atomic level of body composition. It is the direct analysis of chemical composition of the body by using in vivo neutron activation analysis. Under this analysis, the major elements like hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, calcium, sodium, potassium, chloride, and phosphorus are measured. In 1998, Wang and colleagues divided the body weight into water, nitrogen, calcium, potassium, sodium, and chloride. Though in vivo neutron activation analysis provides accurate measures of body composition, it is expensive and mainly used for clinical purposes. Now let's start with the body composition and sex differences. Sexual dimorphism is common in all animal species. Among humans, the differences can be clearly seen. Males are greater in size than the females. During the stages of puberty and adolescence, sexual dimorphism in body composition is clearly visible. The difference is characterized by a markedly higher amount of body fat and lower amount of lean body mass among females. While males in comparison to females have higher amount of fat-free body mass, including bone as well as soft tissues, lean body mass, that is muscle mass. Body fat, particularly the subcutaneous fat of the lower body, represents an important energy store. This fat facilitates the female body to tolerate the energetic cost of pregnancy and lactation. Sexual dimorphism in body size has significant effect on the human evolution and development of differences in gender roles among societies too. Effect of climate on body composition. The influence of climate on body composition, growth and development is well known. The linearity of body tends to be more prevalent in the people living in hot climate, while which hits in with the findings that the growth period is prolonged and maturation is delayed in warm regions. The skin fold thickness and body fat among American Negroes, American whites, sub-Saharan Africans are different. The Eskimos in colder climate tend to be shorter in stature and they possess relatively longer trunks and shorter legs. These types of changes in body composition are reflected through the functional change in body. In the process of adaptation, when changes take place in the body, they first reflected in biochemical functioning of the body. Thereafter, it leads to physiological changes and finally leads to change body composition internally and morphologically externally. Now let's discuss about the body composition and age. The process of aging leads to many changes in body composition even without changing the body weight. With the increase in the age of an individual body, fat percentage also increases, but body mineral density and lean mass decreases. There is a steady decline of total body water after middle age. The intracellular fluids also showed a decline by this age. The mineral content of bone with age also decreases, even though it is very less clear how far this is an inescapable accompaniment of aging and the extent to which it reflects a decrease in physical activity. With the age, an increase in the proportion of connective tissue in muscle and other lean tissue is also observed. It is believed that these changes in body composition are due to energy balance alteration. With growing age, the positive energy balance leads to weight gain and vice versa. However, the changes in body composition related with aging often occur without weight fluctuation also. Now let's start with the impact of exercise on body composition. Physical activity and training can change the body composition in a characteristic way. The influence of physical activity and exercise on body is governed by the first two laws of thermodynamics. The first law states that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but can transfer from one form to another. During exercise, the chemical energy from food intake is converted to mechanical energy of body movement. The amount and proportion of lean body mass under these conditions increases significantly at the expense of fat. The second law states that biological conversion of energy due to entropy is never completely efficient. So, all the energy expended during exercise does not contribute to the bodily movement. During exercise, some of the energy gets converted into muscle work, but most of it gets converted to low grade thermal energy in terms of heat and sweat. Cardiovascular training burns calories, thereby creating a negative energy balance. Weight training increases muscle mass, which maintains a high metabolic rate and helps improve body composition. Muscle mass burn the calories at rest, so combining both the elements is a quick way to cut body fat. This applies to growing children, adults, as well as to the aged. Novak also explained that trained adolescent boys have a higher lean mass and also slightly increased creatinine excretion than untrained youth. Now let us summarize what we have learned from this module. The study of body composition in human is considered as an important aspect in anthropology. It will gives us some basic concept about how human beings are different from one another. The science of body composition is an important morphophysiological aspect in human study and involves the assessment of the amount and proportion of fat, muscle, and bone with their chemical composition. Now, human body composition can be studied at any level depending upon the models and methods used. It is important to use the model and methods correctly in order to get accurate measures. Now, changing in body composition is a continuous process from conception till death. These changes accounts for both genetic as well as environmental factors. In addition to this, exercise and other physical activity can bring changes in the body composition of an individual. Thank you.